Welcome to my channel, The Good Book Tales. In today's video, we are diving deep into one of the most fascinating and mysterious stories ever told. The complete story of Lucifer, from glory to curse. Imagine a being so radiant, so full of light, that all creation looked to him as the pinnacle of beauty, power, and wisdom. A being whose very name once inspired awe, yet whose story ends in betrayal, exile, and a curse that echoes through eternity. This isn't just a story of a fall, it's a tale of ambition, pride, and the consequences of choices that change the course of existence itself. Lucifer, often called the morning star, was not always the figure we fear or misunderstand today. Once, he was the crown of creation, a celestial being closest to the source of all light and goodness. But how did this angel of brilliance, a creature of perfection, transform into a symbol of rebellion and darkness? What drove him from the heights of glory to the depths of curse? These are the questions we are about to explore. From the very first moment, Lucifer's story is entwined with themes of temptation, power, and desire. It's a story that begins in the heavenly realms, a place of unimaginable light and harmony, where angels danced in perfection, and every act reflected the divine order. Lucifer stood out not only for his unmatched beauty and intelligence, but also for a mind capable of questioning, imagining, and longing beyond what he was given. And it is here, in this perfect world, that the seeds of rebellion quietly took root. But before the fall, there were moments of grace, moments that revealed the complexity of Lucifer's character. He was not merely a symbol of evil. He was a being of incredible depth, caught between duty and ambition, loyalty and desire for supremacy. And it is this duality that makes his story so compelling. As we trace the steps of his rise and the whispers of doubt and pride that crept into his heart, we begin to see the tension building. The celestial hierarchy, the harmony of creation, and the very foundation of heaven itself were about to face a challenge unlike any before. Today, we will uncover the journey of Lucifer, his radiant beginnings, the turning points that led to envy and defiance, and the choices that set him apart from all other angels. We will explore the intricate relationships, the pivotal moments of decision, and the consequences that followed. Every detail, every word, adds to the suspense of a story that has fascinated humanity for centuries. And yet, even as we stand on the threshold of his fall, there is a sense of anticipation, a tension that cannot yet be resolved. How does a being of pure light become the embodiment of darkness? What was the final act that sealed his fate? We are about to reveal the layers of this timeless tale, but the answers lie just beyond the next chapter. Stay with me, because the story of Lucifer is far more than a tale of loss. It is a journey into the heart of ambition, pride, and the eternal struggle between light and shadow. Before Lucifer's name became a symbol of defiance, he was admired by all the heavenly hosts. His presence radiated a brilliance that others could not help but notice. Angels looked to him not just with respect, but with admiration, drawn to his wisdom, his insight, and the effortless way he carried the light of creation. But as often happens in tales of greatness, admiration can also seed envy, not from others, but from within. Lucifer began to question the limits of his role, the rules of obedience, and the boundaries placed upon even the most exalted beings. What does it truly mean to serve without question? And when the heart yearns for more than it has been given, what choices follow? The story of Lucifer is not merely about pride or rebellion. It is about a being confronted with a reality that feels both perfect and confining. Imagine the tension of existing in paradise, yet feeling a spark within. A spark that whispers of independence, of autonomy, of a life beyond preordained paths. He observed the order of creation, the hierarchy of angels, and even the plans that flowed from the divine source. Everything was flawless, yet to Lucifer it seemed as if perfection left no room for ambition, no space for a mind that questions and a heart that desires. This inner conflict was subtle at first, almost imperceptible, but it grew steadily, like a shadow stretching across a sunlit room. And then there were the whispers, unseen forces that teased at curiosity and longing. The celestial harmony, so carefully maintained, could not contain the stirrings of doubt. Lucifer's thoughts began to wander, not in a fleeting way, but with intensity, as if the universe itself were inviting him to imagine a different reality. What if the limits imposed upon him were unnecessary? What if he could rise beyond even the highest authority, claiming a freedom no one else dared seek? These questions haunted him, pulling him deeper into contemplation, and slowly, almost imperceptibly, into tension that no angel had faced before. Meanwhile, the other angels watched with growing concern. They sensed a change, though they could not fully understand it. The radiance in Lucifer's eyes now carried a mixture of brilliance and a subtle fire, an energy that hinted at both greatness and danger. It was a delicate balance, one that would determine the fate of the heavens themselves. And as this tension built, as curiosity and desire intertwined with pride, the stage was set for events that would shake the foundations of creation. Even now, as we explore the beginnings of this story, the ultimate question remains unanswered. How does a being of such perfection arrive at a path that leads toward curse and exile? The answer lies just beyond the next chapter, waiting to reveal itself, but only to those who dare to follow the story all the way to the edge of light and shadow. As Lucifer's thoughts turned more often toward autonomy and power, a subtle unrest began to ripple through the heavenly realms. Not all angels noticed it immediately, but some who were closest to him sensed a change in his presence, a quiet intensity that hinted at ambition and something more dangerous, dissatisfaction. The celestial harmony that had lasted since the beginning now faced a tension it had never encountered before. Even the archangels, beings of immense wisdom and foresight, began to wonder if a storm was gathering, one that might shake the very foundations of creation. From another angle, there were whispers among the lesser angels, questions about loyalty, purpose, and the fairness of order. Some admired Lucifer's brilliance and began to wonder what might lie beyond the strict rules of obedience. Others feared that curiosity and pride could lead to chaos, and quietly, tension divided the heavenly hosts. These subplots, the quiet admiration, the hidden fear, and the simmering doubt, intertwined like threads in a tapestry, each pulling in different directions, each threatening to unravel the peace that had endured for eons. At the same time, Lucifer himself wrestled with conflicting emotions. There was a part of him that loved the light and the harmony of creation, a part that revered the divine order and the beauty of the world he inhabited. Yet, there was another part, a restless, questioning spark that longed for something beyond even the highest place in heaven. This inner battle became a silent struggle, a tension between loyalty and desire, between contentment and ambition. It was a conflict that no one could fully see, yet its effects would soon become undeniable. And so, the stage was set. A radiant being, admired by all, faced questions no one had asked before. Angels whispered, hearts hesitated, and the very fabric of the heavenly order trembled. What would happen when curiosity became action and ambition crossed the line into rebellion? The answer was coming, but not yet, and the suspense of that moment hung over all creation like a shadow waiting to fall. The tension in heaven grew heavier with each passing moment, invisible yet palpable, as if the very air vibrated with anticipation. Lucifer's thoughts, once quiet musings, had become intense reflections of ambition and desire. Every glance, every movement carried an energy that others could sense but could not fully understand. Some angels felt a chill of unease, a whisper of something monumental about to unfold, while others were drawn to his brilliance, fascinated by the courage to question and challenge. It was a dangerous mix, admiration tangled with fear, loyalty interwoven with doubt. Even the archangels, whose wisdom was unmatched, could not fully anticipate what was stirring. They observed Lucifer with a mixture of caution and concern, wondering how a being so perfect, so radiant, could harbor thoughts that threatened the balance of all creation. Meanwhile, unseen threads of influence wove through the ranks of angels, subtle gestures and quiet conversations that hinted at shifting allegiances. The harmony of the heavens was fraying, and the first tremors of rebellion whispered just beneath the surface. Lucifer himself was caught in a storm of emotions. The desire to assert his own will, to rise beyond what was prescribed, clashed violently with the love he still felt for the light and the beauty of his home. Every thought, every moment, seemed to push him closer to a choice that could change everything. The questions no one had dared ask, the what-ifs and why-nots, now demanded answers. And so, the heavens held their breath. Every angel, every spark of light, sensed the approaching moment of reckoning. The silence was thick with anticipation, a quiet before a storm no one could fully imagine. Something monumental was about to happen, a turning point that would ripple through eternity. But what exactly would ignite the spark of change? That moment was coming, and the story of Lucifer's rise and fall was about to reach the edge of light and shadow, leaving all creation teetering on the brink. Just as the tension in the heavens seemed almost unbearable, an unexpected shift began to ripple through the celestial realms. Whispers that had once been subtle suggestions of doubt grew louder, almost as if the very air carried secrets. Some angels, loyal yet curious, began to question not only Lucifer's intentions, but the rules themselves. Could it be possible that the order they had followed for eons was not as flawless as it seemed? This growing uncertainty added a new layer to the conflict, making the already fragile balance even more volatile. Lucifer, now fully aware of the stirrings around him, sensed a unique opportunity. The admiration of certain angels had quietly turned into support, though no one dared voice it openly. Their silent allegiance emboldened him, feeding a restless ambition that refused to be ignored. He began to see the heavens not just as a home to be cherished, but as a realm that could be reshaped, a place where he could assert his own vision. And yet, with each thought of rebellion, the risk grew exponentially. The very same forces he hoped to sway could become his fiercest opponents. Meanwhile, the archangels, guardians of divine order, began to notice subtle disruptions. A hesitation here, a questioning glance there. What had once been perfect unity now showed signs of fracture, and with each passing moment, the stakes climbed higher. The celestial harmony that had lasted since creation's beginning now faced an unprecedented test, one that no prophecy had warned of. Angels who had once been steadfast in their devotion now found themselves torn between loyalty, fear, and curiosity. At the same time, a hidden subplot emerged. Not all of Lucifer's peers saw his ambition as a threat. Some angels quietly admired his courage, even if they did not understand it. Their growing curiosity became an unpredictable variable in the unfolding story, creating tension and uncertainty across every corner of heaven. Suddenly, the atmosphere was charged not just with doubt, but with anticipation, as if every angel could sense that the coming moments would change everything. And in the midst of it all, Lucifer himself felt the weight of choices pressing down. The path ahead was shrouded in uncertainty, Yet every instinct, every spark of intellect and desire urged him forward. The stage was no longer just set. It was trembling, ready to erupt. And as the heavens watched, the story of Lucifer's glory and curse teetered on the edge of revelation, the outcome hanging in a delicate balance that no one could predict. The moment of reckoning arrived with a force that shook the very foundations of the heavens. Every angel could feel it. The tension that had been building for eons now erupted into a whirlwind of emotion, loyalty, and defiance. Lucifer stood at the center, radiant yet charged with an intensity that commanded attention. His brilliance, once admired, now carried a fire that was impossible to ignore. Every choice, every question, every whispered doubt had led to this moment, and the celestial realms held their collective breath. The archangels moved to confront him, their presence a mix of authority and concern, but even they could sense that the universe was teetering on a knife's edge. Lucifer spoke, not with anger, but with a quiet conviction that resonated through every heart. He laid bare the desires that had stirred within him for so long. The longing to rise, to claim a freedom that no law could define, to challenge the boundaries of a system that even perfection could not satisfy. His words ignited reactions across the heavens. Some angels faltered, torn between loyalty and curiosity. Others stiffened, resolved to protect the order they had always upheld. The confrontation escalated rapidly. Light clashed with light, not in destruction, but in a forceful struggle of wills and ideals. Choices were made, allegiances revealed, and the heavens themselves seemed to quake under the weight of decisions that would echo for eternity. Lucifer, for all his brilliance, faced the consequences of his ambition, as angels who once admired him now hesitated, unsure of where their loyalty truly lay. And in that very uncertainty, the story reached its most intense moment. The glory he had known, the perfection he had embodied, gave way to the tension and isolation of exile. But just when it seemed the story had reached its conclusion, an unexpected twist rippled through the cosmic balance. A voice, quieter than any had heard before, spoke from the edges of creation, a reminder that even in rebellion and downfall, there remained a spark of purpose, a hidden truth that none had foreseen. Lucifer's fall, though tragic, was not the final chapter. The story hinted at possibilities beyond punishment and exile, leaving a question that would linger far beyond this moment. What comes after the fall of the brightest star? The heavens were silent. The tension remained, transformed but not vanished, as the echoes of ambition, loyalty, and curiosity continued to shape the fate of all creation. And in that silence, the story of Lucifer's glory, rebellion, and ultimate curse carved itself into eternity, leaving every angel, every spark of light, and every listener with a question that refused to be answered too soon. As the echoes of rebellion faded, the heavens slowly settled into a new rhythm. The radiant light that once seemed flawless now carried the marks of tension, choices, and consequences. Lucifer, once the brightest of all, had been cast into a place apart from the harmony he had known. Yet even in exile, a part of his brilliance remained. The story of his rise, ambition, and fall had left a permanent mark on creation, reminding all beings that even the most perfect light can be tested by desire and choice. The angels returned to their duties, but nothing was quite the same. The lessons of the rebellion lingered in every corner of heaven, whispering a timeless truth. Greatness comes with responsibility, and freedom is never without consequence. Loyalty and curiosity, once simple and unquestioned, had become complex and layered. Even those who had stood closest to Lucifer carried the memory of his brilliance and the weight of the decisions they had made. They had witnessed the fragility of perfection and learned that questioning, while dangerous, could lead to profound understanding. Lucifer himself, though removed from the celestial order, was not erased. In his exile, he carried the knowledge of what had been and what might still be. His story, From Glory to Curse, became a reminder that choices define destiny, that ambition can illuminate as well as destroy, and that even in apparent defeat, the spark of purpose endures. The heavens had endured, yet they had changed forever, shaped by the tension and the lessons of one being who dared to challenge the limits of perfection. And so, the tale comes full circle. The story of Lucifer is not just about rebellion or punishment. It is about understanding the delicate balance between light and shadow, ambition and humility, loyalty and self-realization. It leaves us with a reflection that resonates beyond the heavens. Every choice matters. Every desire carries weight. And even the brightest star can teach lessons about power, purpose, and consequence. As the light of creation continued to shine, angels and beings across all realms carried forward the memory of what had happened, forever aware of the delicate threads that hold harmony together. And in that awareness, the story of Lucifer, From Glory to Curse, endures, not as an ending, but as a lesson, a warning, and an inspiration, echoing through eternity.